Have you ever wondered where Philly's hidden gems are? Well, look no further.
A bagel shop, a thrift store, and so much more. And no, we won't be showing you where to get the best cheesesteak, even though it's Max's.
Steve's. It's Steve's.
Okay.
There's so much to see in Philadelphia, some of which may be just next door.
Hello and welcome to Just Next Door. I'm Sam Long.
And I'm John Kohlmeyer. We have the top spots and events in the city today to highlight on today's show. So let's get right into it.
First up, we start by heading to the Pennsylvania Convention Center for the annual PHS Philadelphia Flower Show. This spectacle is the nation's largest and longest running indoor event and features stunning displays by the world's premier floral and landscape designers. Jamie Smith and Julia DeMalto have checked that out for this week's edition of Annual Fairs, where we will show you the coolest events going on in the city of brotherly love.
The Pennsylvania Horticultural Society is a nonprofit organization founded in 1827. Each year they host the Philly Flower Show. Let's take a look at this year's theme.
We picked the French Riviera because it's a part of the world that's known for beautiful gardens. We also wanted to pick it because it's also a very arid part of the world, so we thought it would be an opportunity to talk about more kind of water-wise gardening and how to do gardening where you have to do kind of less input.
Seen as a staple in Philadelphia since 1829, this annual event is the world's longest running indoor event of its kind and attracts over 250,000 guests every year.
Oh man, there's nothing quite like it. It's such a rush. I was up at 2:30 in the morning yesterday to meet media for their morning shows, and I was here until 10 o'clock last night, and there's just nothing that compares to the sudden inflow of media attention, all kind of concentrated into a weekend and an entire week.
Probably, as you know, one of the real crazes in the houseplant world are succulents. So almost all, many of these plants that you see here are succulents and can be used as houseplants as well. A lot of these plants that you see behind us and you'll see in the show, things like agaves and cactus and olives and lemon trees, can actually be grown outside as kind of seasonal interest plants.
The event features exhibits that are judged in different categories and are highly competitive. Each year, a different theme inspires master creators to construct magical displays for its guests, and this year definitely did not disappoint. For Just Next Door, I'm Jamie Smith.
Wow, those flowers are almost as beautiful as my co-host John. If you would like to snag tickets to the Philly Flower Show, it takes place once a year at the beginning of March, so be sure to check it out in years to come.
Everyone knows that there are plenty of art museums in Philadelphia, but what you might not know is that one of those museums can be found in the center of this very campus. Here's more on LaSalle University's Art Museum.
For this being a university, I was just amazed by what a wide variety of art they had, how many sections. For it just being the basement of a lecture hall, I was really taken aback by how much they've incorporated into it.
Located in the basement of Hayman Hall, LaSalle University offers their art museum to further the LaSallian educational objectives by helping students, other members of the university community, and the general public to experience original works of art in an intimate setting and to place them in a meaningful context.
LaSalle Art Museum was moved to this location in 1975, but the collection was really started in the 1960s, mid-1960s. The person who kind of headed the effort, his name was Brother Daniel Burke. He was a Christian brother. At the time, he was building the collection. He continued collecting for many, many years and really built the collection from the ground up.
Currently, LaSalle is the only university in the Philadelphia area to own a permanent display of paintings, drawings, and sculptures from the Renaissance to the present.
Like, you don't see just canvases or just sculptures. We have different materials.
With these different sections based on periods or styles of artwork, it gives the visitors plenty of room to find their preferences or favorite pieces.
I would have to say my favorite section of art to look at was probably the modern section. There was one piece of art where there was a full-body sculpture of a man looking at art, and I thought it was really cool. It was probably my favorite one because it sets you up thinking about this whole reflective, introspective mindset, and I think it's really cool.
The key difference between this museum and others in the city is the academic aspects offered, including an in-depth website where you can search any piece or artist to learn more about them.
The Art Museum has an educational mission. We really seek to educate our audiences through experiencing artwork, discussing artwork with their friends, with their classmates, and to taking those experiences away.
It's nice for the professors to give an incentive to bring people there because it's super accessible.
So whether you're a LaSalle student or a member of the Philadelphia community, this art museum will not disappoint.
I would definitely recommend this museum to anyone in the public, because not only is Philadelphia so known for its history and its art and its amazing culture, but this is no cost and the public can come enjoy this.
For Just Next Door, I'm Tyler Small.
Ooh-wee, I would go Vincent van Gogh check out that art museum if I were you. If you would like to find out more information about the art museum, you can find their hours and address on their website at lasalle.edu/museum.
As some of you may know, art can come in many different forms, and this next place may just make the cut. This location may just look like a barber shop, but it's so much more. The Blind Barber is an up-and-coming spot who has a familiar owner. You may have heard of him. His name is Philly superstar Bryce Harper. John and I traveled to check out the new barber shop, where I got a little more than I bargained for. Why don't you take a look? Everyone needs a haircut, and everyone needs a drink once in a while. So why not do both at the same time? Welcome to Blind Barber, located in Midtown Village off Sansom Street, where you can do both at the same time. Come on in to find out more.
So the barber shop opens up every day at 11 o'clock in the morning, and we're open till 8 o'clock at night. At 5 o'clock, the speakeasy opens. Basically, everybody that wants to go into the speakeasy or the bar in the back will enter through the barber shop and exit through the barber shop. It is the only entrance. There's no signage out front about there being a speakeasy or a bar. It's kind of, if you know about it, you know about it. A lot of people will walk in and say, I heard there was like a bar here. Is this the right place? And you know, myself and Alex, the other barber, will be in here cutting hair, and we'll, you know, either if we decide we want to have a little fun with them, maybe we'll have some fun with them, or we'll just say, no, actually there's a bar right in the back, and then you'll see often the guy with the girlfriend stops and says, wait a minute, this is a real barber shop? I can get my hair cut here? And they're like, okay, I'm going to have a drink and I'm going to come back and grab a haircut.
Thanks for stopping by. And as their tagline says, stay handsome. For Just Next Door, I'm Sam Long. Well, John, as you saw in the video, you were there going into it. I had the long, beautiful lettuce. I had that flow. It was going.
You look like a new man.
I look like a whole new man. That's what the
gorgeous.
barber said.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel cold all the time. I miss it. But, you know.
You look good. You look classy.
Classy. That's what I like
classy
to hear.
With a C.
With a C, capital C.
Capital
No,
C.
but the guys there were super cool. They ended up giving me a free haircut. Appreciated it very much. It's looking pretty good. Steve was a nice guy. So if you're looking to schedule an appointment, you can go on their website at blindbarber.com. Get your hair cut any day from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. And the bar opens up at 6 p.m. and stays open till 5 a.m. I know for sure that I will be going back soon.
Well, now that Sam is sporting his brand new haircut, the only thing that he needs is a much better outfit to complete the whole look.
You know, that's in the script, but my feelings are still hurt. How do I do that?
I don't know. Well, I'm here to tell you. So, one, are you low on funds? Are you looking for the coolest recycled fashion for the lowest prices? Do you need a new hoodie or a fresh new pair of kicks? I Spy has you buy. I Spy You Buy has you covered. Literally. Located right in Germantown Ave, this little spot steals all the fashion for a fraction of the price. Michaela Brandt has the coverage of this one-of-a-kind thrift store.
Unlike your average thrift store, introducing I Spy You Buy Philly's Thrift on Germantown Avenue.
So I would hunt. I would go to several different thrift stores. I'll find hot, dope pieces. And a lot of people will ask me, well, where did you get that from? And dang, that's cool.
Cool is right. I had the opportunity to see what this thrift store has to offer, including clothes, shoes, and so much more. Along with her clothes, she makes her own wearable art.
Some items that are damaged, and I still see some potential in them. So then I'll purchase them and I'll upcycle it and turn it into wearable art, and it's called stylish behavior. So, say for instance, this denim jacket here, it had a couple of tears in it, it had a bleach spot on it, so for me to make it wearable art, I added some more bleach.
As said before, it is definitely unlike any thrift store.
Runs and operates off of donations. We don't. I hunt, I find the clothes, I wash the clothes, and I resell them. So day in and day out, I'm hunting, I'm searching, and my customer base, a lot of them have been shopping with me since I started in 2014 on the lawn, and that's where I would, host my yard sales. So I got an idea of what they're looking for. So if I know they want Patagonia, North Face, Columbia, LL Bean, Nike, Reebok, I know what they want, and I'm not going to buy something used and it's not in good condition because it won't sell here. Mm-hmm. We're known for our quality. Over the quantity, we're more known for our quality of merchandise.
If you want to see more, their Instagram page is at iSpyYouBuy is always featuring updates to their collection. Their hours of business are Tuesday to Friday from noon to 5 p.m. and Saturday from 11:30 a.m. to 5 p.m.
We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we have an up-and-coming author set to discuss her new book, now available on Amazon. Stay tuned, Philly.
You know you watch. You shouldn't be watching this. You should be watching LaSalle TV. Hey, watch LaSalle TV. You know you watch.
Man, Keegan is taking this You Know You Watch thing way too seriously.
You know you watch LaSalle TV.
Yo, bro, what's good?
What's going on?
How you feeling, man?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
When'd you start smoking?
Smoking? It's a Juul, bro.
It's a Juul?
Yeah.
Listen, you might as well be smoking cigarettes. When you start juuling or vaping, you're 4 times more likely to start smoking cigarettes.
Is that true?
That's very true. Give me the Juul. You don't need it.
To learn more about e-cigarettes, go to thetruth.com.
Back to Just Next Door, LaSalle senior Rebecca Smith decided to take her honors project and turn it into a published book for children faced with incarcerated parents. Rebecca was kind enough to join us here in studio to discuss the book and her process of creating it. Welcome, Rebecca.
Thank you guys so much for having me out today.
Thanks for coming to sit down with us.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, so I'll kick things off with the first question.
Yeah.
So can you describe, I know the book's for children with incarcerated parents. Mm-hmm. Can you describe the process of how this book was created?
Yes. So when I was a junior, I'm a senior now, but in the fall of my junior year, I was actually taking a class called a Business Ethics Environment of Business. And essentially my professor took me and my classmates as part of the service learning trip to Graterford Prison, which is about 45 minutes away from here in Phoenixville, the Collegeville area. And at that prison, we were able to do what's called a think tank with the inmates. So these inmates were all either on death row or in prison for life. And we talked about multiple different controversial topics, from things like mass incarceration to drug problems and drug policies. And there they also talked a lot about their families. And so I realized that many of the children who had fathers that were incarcerated didn't come to visit their parents. They didn't really know what had happened to them once they had gone to jail. So when my honors project was approaching and I knew that I needed to come up with an idea for my project, I decided just to write my children's book.
Nice. So what message would you want children with incarcerated parents to take away from this book?
So I'm really hoping that my book is used as a resource to help kids understand that the decisions that their parents have made are not because of the children. So no one makes a mistake and commits a crime because they want to get away from their children. I want to make sure the children don't feel ostracized and they don't feel abnormal and standing apart in school just because they don't have their parents living at home.
So what was the process like of creating the book? How did you start drawing the pictures? How did you come up with the idea to actually sit down and make it into a children's book, all that stuff?
Yeah, so One thing that I was doing a little bit of market research on before I started this book was to see if there were any other materials or children's book out there on the market that discuss the topic of incarcerated parents. And there's not really anything substantial out there. So I thought that this would be a perfect opportunity to allow myself to present a book to a young audience. So the way that I went about doing the actual content of it, I had multiple drafts out of the text of the book, but I conducted various interviews with fellow LaSalle students that had parents who were incarcerated when they were children, as well as spouses of people who had incarcerated spouses who were also raising young children at the time. I also spoke with a couple of child psychologists and school teachers in the area just to see the concept and the development of trauma, or the cause of trauma on the development of young brains, and just to see if there was anything in my book that I could tie into that and help to make sure these children were developing still in a good, healthy way.
Yeah. So this is like this is kind of a niche topic. Not a lot of people do talk about it. So what are some of the effects that you found children experience when they have parents in prison?
So through a lot of my different research and interviews, I found that children who had parents that committed some kind of like violent crime when they were younger tended to also have disruptive behaviors or aggressive behaviors as they grew up. And it's really interesting to see that the trauma that they face as a young child, if not dealt with and understood and comprehended properly, can truly lead to different problems as they grow older into adolescence and adulthood.
Yeah.
Now, since you've put the book out, have you gotten any feedback from any parents who have a spouse in prison saying, my child read this book and things are a lot better now, or is it still too early since it came out to hear anything?
So I have heard some good feedback about the content of the book, especially from all those that I interviewed, and I tried to make the book as comprehensive as possible to be available to apply to children of many different situations and circumstances. But my book was just released on Amazon on the 29th of February, so just about a week ago, and I've sold quite a few copies so far, so I'm really excited to see the extent of the impact of this book.
Oh, that's awesome. Is there any author that you look to for inspiration for this book? Like the Giving Tree author? Because that's my favorite children's book.
That's also a fantastic children's book, I will say. Most of the inspiration that I got from this book is my aunt. My aunt's actually a children's book author, not for super serious topics like this, but it was really nice to have another family member that was able to help me and guide me as I wrote this book in the process.
That's nice.
I'm a big fan of The Hungry Caterpillar, personally.
Hungry, yeah.
Yes.
So last time I talked to you about this book, it was in a much earlier draft. It looks a lot different now. What was the process like of taking it from what you had and then making everything digital and a little bit nicer? What was that all like?
So when I initially proposed this book for my honors project, I did a self-publishing service that was at a lower quality than it was to be mass-produced. So when I started looking into Amazon's self-publishing service, I realized that I needed to upgrade the quality of my images to make them more able to be mass-produced on such a large scale. So I digitized all my images and recreated them with some online design programs. And after compiling that through Amazon's self-publishing service, it came out with this wonderful copy. So I'm very excited that its upgrades are showing.
Now, did you find it easier to hand draw or do everything digitally?
I found it easier to do it digitally, mostly because I think it's easier to pick the exact shade and keep it all uniform throughout the same textbook as opposed to my colored pencil drawings from the beginning.
So you're a senior here.
Yes.
How have you managed to balance writing a book with the challenges of being a student? Because I don't do anything, and I've never read a book, and I've always wanted to write a book, and I never have. So how have you done that?
I can definitely say that it took a lot of time. The majority of the time that I spent was in my interview and my research process and coordinating and setting up those meetings because everyone has very different schedules here at LaSalle. But the most important thing that kept me going was knowing that this was going to help children eventually and that the finished product would be something that could really be used as a resource on a small or a large scale.
Yeah.
Now, do you have any plans coming up? I know this just came out a week ago. It might be a little early. Are there any plans for a sequel yet?
So no plans for a sequel, but I do have multiple promotional events in the works. So actually, at the end of this month, I'm going to be the keynote speaker at Gwynedd Mercy's Academic Forum on Incarceration. So I'll be presenting my book and all of my research to a very large crowd there.
Nice. Do you have any intentions on writing anything more adult-oriented, like a novel or short stories or anything like that? Or?
At this time, if I'm thinking about writing another book, it will be a children's book similar to this one. I don't have any plans right now, but I just want to make sure if I write something else, it will be as thought-provoking as this one. So if I see another issue come up, then I will use this avenue to help children.
All right, do you mind if I see the copy of the
Of course.
book? Absolutely. Well, Rebecca, thank you so much for sitting down with us today.
Thank you for having
This
me.
is her book, Does He Still Love Me? Check it out on Amazon. We're going to take another break. When we return, we're going to transition to everyone's favorite form of art, food. Stay tuned, Philly.
Yeah, that's really awesome. That's impressive.
Kylie loves to an egg. An egg? An egg. How does a general lose to an egg? The internet's to an egg.
You know, there is a show for that. It's called Backstage Pass.
You see the new library plan?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, they're doing stuff in the library. Oh.
In the library?
Yeah.
The new library. You know, there is a show for that called LTV News, where the action never stops.
I wonder how the basketball team.
You know, there is a show for that called Sports Live.
So are you a Carson Wentz or Nick Foles guy? More of a Nate Sudfeld. Oh, really? Interesting. Wonder where we can hear about Philly sports.
You know, there's a show for that called Sports Talk Philadelphia.
You like Family Feud? Yeah. You like all shows like that? Yeah. I wonder if LaSalle has a show like that. That'd be kind of cool.
There is a show for that called Q&A.
I really wish that we could just display our talents. Yeah, me too.
There is a show for that called Explorers Got Talent.
All this and more on LaSalle TV.
Welcome back to Just Next Door. Next up on our features, we have a family-owned shop that puts a Philly twist on a Manhattan classic. Chestnut Street Philly Bagels serves you some of the best bagels and sandwiches for a great pick-me-up on any given day. Emily Krastowski and Josh Warner traveled to Chestnut Street to check it out.
If you're feeling hungry, come down to Chestnut Street Bagel, where family and tradition go together like bagels and cream cheese.
The family involved are the Fleischman and Wagner family, and they've been in bagels for about 5 generations now, starting in Poland. And just like all bagels in the United States, it was families from Poland that came in the later part of the 19th century and the early part of the 20th century to New York through Ellis Island, bringing their recipes for bagels. So this location on Chestnut, which was our second in Philadelphia, opened exactly 5 years ago yesterday. The Everything Bagel is by far the most popular. We sell about twice as many Everythings as anything else. And then after that is the plain bagel. We sell a lot of the lock specials. That's like the classic bagel. Cream cheese, capers, onions, tomatoes, and smoked salmon. Those flavors have been together on a bagel for decades and generations. You know, Philly is close to New Jersey, Cherry Hill. So that was just the next step, was to open a shop in Philadelphia. We thought there weren't really any true New York bagel shops in Philadelphia, and we wanted to bring it to the city.
Chestnut Street Bagels takes tradition to a whole nother level. Come enjoy a fresh bagel or a hot coffee.
We do bean-to-bean coffee. They're a really awesome roaster that roasts right up in South Kensington. They're kind of the new kids on the block, crushing the market with freshly roasted beans so that they blend themselves. A bagel is kind of a staple and has extreme historic value in our country. You know, it's something that it's a treat. When you get a hot, fresh bagel right out of the oven with cream cheese on it, there's nothing better than that.
Come to Chestnut Street Bagel for a fresh bagel. For Just Next Door, I'm Emily Krastowski.
Boy, I tell you, my stomach is just a grumbling looking at that place. If your mouth is watering as well, you can stop by any day from 6:30 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon.
Last but certainly not least, we went down to the corner of Fairmont Ave and North 17th Street to check out Philadelphia's first ever board game cafe. Thirsty Dice offers a fun experience for friends where you can also order food and drinks centered around popular board games. Boniface Bogwa and Tyler Small have more to check out for this week's edition of All Abroad.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of All Abroad, where today we head down to the corner of Fairmount and Mellon Street to check out a new type of restaurant, Thirsty Dice.
So Thirsty Dice is Philadelphia's first board game cafe. We opened in October of 2018, so we've been around a good while now.
Upon entering, you can purchase a library card for $5 a person if you plan on playing a game. If you're just dropping by for a quick bite or drink, however, you're welcome to grab a seat anywhere.
What we try to do with the food is we really try to make it accessible for folks, and we try to keep it fresh. So when we first opened, we had a number of different mac and cheese options on our menu, and people were always tinkering with them and like, oh, can you do it with this or without that or whatever. And what we decided to do was create this custom mac and cheese thing that we're calling Mac Madness. So we're doing it for March. We've got about a dozen different things you can put in your mac and cheese.
Like how the food is catered towards their customers, Thirsty Dice has also seen a popular demand to host game-themed events.
Given that we're the first board game cafe in Philadelphia, people didn't know, well, what exactly does that mean? You know, I've been to a restaurant before and they have some board games, but we're trying to create something that's really an elevated experience. So sometimes folks come in and they're like, wow, I didn't even know that you had all of these different games. We're trying to make this about connecting with your family, connecting with your friends, you know, spending real time with people.
That's all we've got for this week's edition of All Abroad. For Just Next Door, I'm Tyler Small. Sam, John, back to you at the desk.
Nothing like finishing an intense game of Dungeons & Dragons and washing it down with a cool and refreshing milkshake. I'm going to go right after this show, and so can you. Their hours are Monday through Friday from 4:30 to 10:30, Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight, and Sunday from 11 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. So John, Thirsty Dice, board games, I throw down in a game of Scrabble.
Scrabble? That's
Scrabble.
your go-to?
That's my Scrabble's been my go-to.
I'm a Yahtzee guy.
Yahtzee.
Yeah. I'm also a level 7 mage in Dungeons and Dragons. So
Really?
Yes.
Ah,
I'm
well-
a warlock as well. Double rolls. Well, that just about does it to wrap up this episode of Just Next Door. So don't forget to check us out on social media. You can find us on Twitter at LaSalle TV Philly or follow us on Instagram at LaSalle TV. We would love to hear your feedback. For everyone here at LaSalle TV, I'm John Kohlmeyer.
And I'm Sam Long. Thanks for sticking around, and we hope to see you next time on Just Next Door.